Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Ref the District, episode number 214, live here on YouTube and Facebook on the Believe Network. I'm the Stoner. That over there is Trev. What's up, Trev?
What up, Stoner? How you doing, man?
All right, man. Before we get into all this Commanders talk, I wanted to ask you, putting you on the spot here, right?
Okay.
What did you think about the Lakers Mavs last night with Luka doing his thing?
Once they figure out lineups, they're
Yeah.
going to be pretty tough to stop. I mean, they're already pretty tough to stop right now, and they were pretty tough to stop before they got Luka. But LeBron and Luka, man, that is just they look good. They look energized, like they have something to play for now. You know what I mean? I mean, LeBron's always going to do 110%.
Sure.
But now everybody else around them is like, okay, we got Luka and Bron. We have a chance. That's crazy. It's still weird to see Luka in a Lakers jersey.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean,
I'm a fan.
It was obviously the biggest story in the sports world there a couple weeks back, and it's still stunning that it happened, and it happened without anybody knowing about it
at all.
Yeah.
When he goes back to Dallas, though, I think that's when he's really going to try and pop off.
Do they have one scheduled before the end of the year?
I think so.
Maybe the playoffs too.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But I'm
loving it. And I think Dre is right here. Dre right here. They don't have a big man. I mean, they tried to trade for him, but what are they going to do when they face those bigger teams?
I mean, yeah, they beat the Nuggets the other night, but can they do that 4 times out of a 7-game series?
Right.
With a small lineup? I don't think so. So unless Alex Len ain't going to help, he don't even play in garbage time. So it's like,
I mean, look, if Dallas gets all their bigs healthy, they've got 3 really good bigs.
I know.
Right?
Anthony Davis was cooking right when he got hurt.
Yeah.
He was 26 and 16. Third quarter.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. Little NBA talk here to start Ref
and just to add on that a little bit, Marcus Smart, Chris Middleton, Jordan Poole, a little big 3 action in DC.
No.
Are they going to stay? Are they going to stay there next year, or is this just the end of this season move? You think?
Yeah. No. Don't expect anything from those 3
next year.
I mean, maybe one of them. I think Middleton's got an expiring contract anyway, or maybe he's got 1 more year left. This is just biding time until
so random.
I know, but I tell you what, Marcus Smart, sign me up. He's one of my favorite NBA players of all time.
Did you hear what he said after the game?
Smart. What did he say?
After I think his first game back, the lady was like, "How does it feel like to come back and do that?" He was like, "Oh, just doing my thing, letting people know I still do this." Shh.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I was like, there you go. Talk that talk.
Love Marcus Smart. He's a good addition to any team. So I feel bad that he's wasting some of his years on the Wizards. He needs to go to a contender and help them out. Be that defensive energy guy. Love him. All right. But anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about here. If you are watching or you are listening, make sure you hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Share this video with other folks so you can get the word out about Ref the District. Of course, we talk about Commanders all the time, but sometimes mixing a little NBA on the side there, especially when Nathan's not here.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if Nathan was here, we would totally, we would be like, no, we can't be talking NBA.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, especially if it's not even the Wizards.
Yeah, exactly.
But look, we got a fantastic show for everybody. It's packed. A lot of information to get to. Later in the cool down, we're going to get into Trev's news and notes. And the biggest thing there that we're going to talk about is the NFLPA report card that came out today and the drastic difference from 1 year to the next for the Commanders, which is going to be fun to talk about. That's later on in the cool down. In the game, it's Combine week. The Combine has started. Tomorrow is when the real action gets started on the field in terms of all the testing that they do. So because of that, we got to start looking at who the Commanders are going to take at 29, if they're going to pick at 29, who they could possibly target in 29. So that's all a little bit later in the game. And then, of course, here in the warm-up, we're going to talk all about the big press conferences at the Combine. Adam Peters yesterday, Dan Quinn today, what they had to say, and our reactions to all of that. Appreciate everybody who is already here. Lockdown's here. JG, Rogers here. Jersey Slim, Uptown Dre. Let's see who else is in here. Let's see. That's what I've got so far. Appreciate everybody who is here checking us out now. But let's get to these press conferences that took place yesterday, because there was a lot of obviously good nuggets. And
oh yeah,
we'll talk about really the biggest one from yesterday in the Adam Peters press conference, and that is the whole Jon Allen trade deal.
What did he say?
Specifically, that the Commanders have given Jon Allen's team the permission to seek a trade. And we gotta break that down. Jon Allen's kind of, I think, for a lot of people, he's kind of controversial in that a lot of people don't like him and a lot of people really do like him. So first, Trev, I want your thoughts on Jon Allen basically asking to allow to be look for a trade, and Adam Peters saying, look, we're going to do what's best for Jon Allen, but we're also going to do what's best for the team. What are your thoughts on the whole Jon Allen situation?
There's a rumor that started way earlier than what it is today, this week. It was always a topic: are we going to cut him or trade him? Because of his performance, whatever. But I'm kind of like in the middle. I like Jon Allen. I love the leadership. I love the command, no pun intended, he brings every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, he just battled back from a season-ending injury to make a playoff run with a torn pec. So he's determined to get back on the field. I mean, he knows his body, like takes care of his body, yada yada yada. But ever since like the past 2-3 years, it's just his progression has been going down. Yeah, he's been voted NFL top 100 by his peers, but nowadays I don't even know if he would crack the top 100. He probably did. I'm probably speaking wrong, but that's coming from me who watches him almost every Sunday. We save some money. Mm-hmm. He's replaceable. Don't get it twisted. Everybody's replaceable in the NFL except for a couple. Jaden Daniels can't replace him. Excuse me, or Pat Mahomes or Josh Allen. The goats. But everybody's replaceable. But at the same time, it's like, what can we get back for him if we make the trade? Not much. Like if it was 2, 3, 4 years ago, it'd be some value. But now it's like, what are we going to get back? But the thing is, we got Adam Peters. We got the front office, Lance Newmark. They could turn that, what we probably think would be a crappy pick and return, they could turn into a gem, knowing how successful they are when it comes to drafting. But we can let him go. We can replace him, but also he could help be a part of the building block that we're trying to do here for next season and in the future. So I don't know.
Well, you mentioned the money, Trev, and look, this year he has a $22 million plus cap hit for this year. Okay. If they trade him or cut him, doesn't matter. The cap hit for this year will still be the same, and that's only a little over $6 million. So basically, they're going to save about $16.5 million. There's some decimal points in there. It doesn't really matter, but a little more than $16 million they'll save by cutting or trading him. Either one. He's not owed any money. They're not. I think the biggest thing is they weren't going to sign him to an extension. So, and I think that's the biggest reason why he wants to go, because he wants to go somewhere. Well, he'll get a new contract. He's got no guaranteed money. The cap hits are not money that he's going to get. If they cut him, the Commanders owe him actual money, $0. So that's why he wants to go somewhere, because he doesn't want that hanging over his head. The fact that they could cut him at any day, pre-June 1st, post-June 1st, doesn't matter. If they cut him, he gets no dollars. So that's why he wants to go somewhere so that he can get some guaranteed money because he's still essentially in his prime. But here's what I want to ask you something. Do you know who, and I'm asking everybody this, but I'm asking you, Trev, do you know who Derek Brown is?
He's a former football player, right?
All right. Do you know who Chris Jones is?
Oh, Derek Brown is number 95 for the Carolina Panthers. But
Okay.
he was out this year with a knee injury. He's
right.
good. Chris Jones is the defensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I gave you a little context, right?
Yeah.
By throwing in Chris Jones, right?
Yeah.
Aleem McNeil?
No, I never heard of him. Wait, Chargers maybe?
Lions.
Okay.
Aleem McNeil is the 4th highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL. You never heard of him. Now, he just got a big deal this past season, middle of the season, and I believe he's one of those guys that got hurt. Derek Brown for the Carolina Panthers is the 5th highest paid defensive tackle in the entire NFL.
He's good, but he's on Carolina.
Right? Jon Allen is the 15th highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL. Jonathan Allen is better than Derek Brown. He's better than Aleem McNeil, or at least in the same neighborhood. I don't want to go because he's kind of at the other end of his peak, right? But he's still there in his peak. But the point is, if you want an above average defensive tackle, you got to give him $22 million a year.
Oh.
That's the going rate for a above average defensive tackle. For Derek Brown, who gets paid more money than Jon Allen, and Aleem McNeil gets paid more money than Jon Allen. That's the going rate. And on top of that, if you get rid of Jon Allen, and you save $16 million, well, guess what? You got a hole. You got a hole now that you have to fill. And don't tell me that Johnny Newton is that fill, because they rotate their defensive tackles. They have for years and years, and everybody does it in the NFL. They need another stud defensive tackle. If you look at the double team rates in the NFL, Jon Allen is in the top 10 for defensive tackles.
Exactly.
He gets double teamed all the time. I'm not trying to make excuses for him. He definitely hasn't performed to the highest level. Mm-hmm. But at $22 million, that's the going rate for a defensive tackle. Some more stats for you, Trev.
I appreciate that, Mr. Numbers.
In the past 4 seasons, Jonathan Allen ranks among defensive tackles. He ranks 10th in total tackles in the last 4 years. And let's not forget how many games he missed this year. 10 games, something like that.
Yeah.
He ranks 5th in solo tackles in the last 4 years of all defensive tackles in the NFL. He ranks 9th in sacks for defensive tackles, 7th in pressures, and 7th in tackles for loss.
What? Then why can't we stop the run?
No, look, I'm not trying to make, and I'm not even trying to make a case to keep him. Right. There's a business side of this.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't necessarily want to have a situation to where they're having to pay and give him another 3 or 4 year extension and up his money and give him $26 million a year if the results of the team defense is not there.
Right.
So I'm okay with the decision to move on from Jonathan Allen.
Okay.
And maybe only get a 5th rounder for him, 6th rounder, or nothing if they cut him. Right? I'm okay with that because I trust what is going on in that front office. But I don't want it. We shouldn't be looking at this as like a great thing for this organization. I think the team today, let's assume that he's gone. The team today is worse than it was yesterday.
Yeah.
If Jon Allen leaves this team.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
And I'm not saying they can't fix it in other ways. They're way smarter than I am. But I'm not a big fan of Jonathan Allen moving on.
You're not a big fan.
No, I'm not a big fan of it. I've always been a Jon Allen backer.
I know.
And I think the tide turned on him last year in 2023, not in 24. In 2023, when they were constantly losing, and he was always the guy doing the pregame hype.
Yes.
But then they would go out and lose by 30.
Yeah.
Right. And that gave him a bad rap or a bad rep. But it wasn't all on Jonathan Allen.
No.
We just needed somebody to blame, and he was the face. He was the guy in those huddles.
He was also a top 20 pick of this organization. He was also part of the Alabama wall that we had here. He's also part of one of the great Nick Saban defenses from Alabama. So
yeah,
he wasn't living up to his own name, so to speak. And like you said, I mean, the stats prove he's no slouch, but at the same time, he ain't $22 million worth.
Yeah, I get it. I understand it.
I don't think so. But then it's like, if we bring in somebody else with that, what if they have a worse year? Like that, like there's that one defensive tackle from Dallas is floating around, number 97. He has a wild name, no offense, but I can't pronounce it.
Yep.
But that's circled around because he played with Dan Quinn 2 years ago, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, look, I appreciate you, Dan Quinn, but we don't keep needing to bring your former guys to
Cowboys.
I mean, Dorrance Armstrong is nice, but ain't nobody game planning for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Dante Fowler had 11.5 sacks. Cool, but we can get a better edge.
He wasn't stopping the run. That was my big problem with Fowler.
Excuse me. So I don't want to pay that defensive tackle from Dallas $22 million. They said he's like the best tackle on the list of free agents so far.
Well, let me tell you this, Trev. If you get somebody at Jon Allen's level, you're going to pay him more than $22 million.
Which is crazy, right?
I'm telling you that right now. If you want to go and get a free agent or whomever, you're going to pay him more than $22 million.
So why are you going to trade Jon Allen in the first place?
So why, right. So, but you know, there's still that whole understanding of the business side of it, and that he wants to go. He wants to get that guaranteed money somewhere, and he will get guaranteed money from somebody. He's just
and he'll make a defense better wherever he goes. No slouch. Like we're not saying he's, but
yeah. And look, Johnny Newton is not Jon Allen. Now maybe he can get there at some point. He's not Jon Allen.
No.
And one of the great things about Jon Allen up until this past year is that he played. If you look at his games played, and I don't have it in front of me, but his games played are going to be like 16, 15, 16, 17, and he'll have a year, maybe it was 11, and then this past year might have been 8 or whatever it was. I don't even know. But he always played. He was a great team guy. He was a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for the team. He's great in the community. He's a great teammate. He's a hard worker. He didn't have to come back for the playoffs this year. He had every excuse to just get ready for the 2025 season, but he rehabbed his butt off to get ready for a run in the playoffs. He is really what you want from a defensive tackle on a team, but there's just the business side of it at this point, I think.
Yep, I agree.
All right, so we'll move on from Jonathan Allen, but I just want to throw some of those things out there that let's be careful about who we're trying to kick off of this team, because guys can still play. You can't have a star at every position. You can't have a Jaden Daniels who's a top 5 at his position and he's getting paid bottom 5 money. That's a pipe dream. You can get that once in a while but that's very, very rare to get a great player on a cheap contract. It just very rarely happens. But speaking of guys that maybe we were looking at, maybe can't play or we're not sure about, and in that press conference, Adam Peters said, Marshon Lattimore is in our plans for the future.
Yes, sir.
You okay with that?
Yes. I was a fan of the trade. I was a fan of when he played. I know he had some bumps in the road with the penalties and all that, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, because why would we make that trade if we were just planning to release him right afterwards? I mean, he's now a building block for the secondary. He's cornerback 1. He's Marshon Lattimore. We can't just be done with him based on him battling a hamstring injury while trying to help us get to the promised land, which he did a little bit. So yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I think he's got a lot to prove. I mean, he does, Trev. I know that
he's Marshon Lattimore.
Look, he's Marshon Lattimore, but who has not performed in the last couple of years. Fair, because of injuries. I get it. But when do we stop making an excuse for the guy?
If he pulls a Curtis Samuel,
which is all of a sudden he's healthy and he plays well,
or he just has a nagging injury that keeps him out and out and out, and we quote unquote got to keep the Ferrari in the garage, or then that we can be like, okay, we can move on. But if he comes out and starts healthy and actually contributes or whatever, now he's going to not stop playing the way he plays. Real quick, he's not going to do that. He might tone it down, but he's not going to stop totally playing how he plays. So he'll be fully healthy. He's going to be a dog back there. He might get some people that want to come play with him back there for us. So he's a building piece.
What if? I mean, look, I was not encouraged by what I saw when he did play. Let me just say that. That doesn't mean I don't want him here.
Right.
But let's be honest. He had a hard time stopping guys who he's paid to stop. He couldn't stop Mike Evans. He couldn't stop A.J. Brown. And those are just facts.
They are. But he's stopped them in the past.
True. Definitely.
And I'm not making an excuse, but he was battling a hamstring injury, which is a crucial injury for his position.
Yeah.
So, and it's a new system. Like, he hadn't played. Like, I see what you're saying. I'm with you too, Stoner. I want to see if he does have something to prove. I see what you're saying. He does. You're right. He does have something to prove.
He's got a lot to prove.
He does. But at the same time, I don't have any doubts if he's healthy.
Okay. And I hope you're right. I want to be wrong on this. I'm just very concerned about what I saw from a guy who, let's be honest, when you look at everything that happened with this new regime, with Adam Peters, from day one until today, the Marshon Lattimore is the biggest move that he made. That was the biggest decision that he made, other than, the draft. You're drafting guys that are available, but he went out and gave up some pretty healthy draft picks to get Marshon Lattimore. And that was maybe the biggest move that he made, because all of his other moves were either 1-year deals for the Bobby Wagners and the Chins, and the Eckler got 2 years, and Ertz and guys like that, right? So this was really the biggest move that he made since he's been here.
Yeah.
So I want it to work out, and I hope I get proven wrong, but I don't like what I saw in those few games that he played.
And I bet those were some conversations they had this offseason before the press conferences today, which is pretty much why they probably addressed it out of nowhere like that.
Absolutely.
Without anybody even bringing it up. But, and social media, all the fans, they see it all. But if Adam Peters, he has a good track record of knowing good ball players. Exactly. This is his proven seat. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Proven.
Yeah. And look, AP was very clear about it. He said Marshon Lattimore is in their plans. So that should just kind of shut us up. But I can't help but look at his contract and notice that if they cut him, his dead cap number is the same dead cap number it is for me, which is $0. Right. So they could cut him, lose. I mean, they would lose those draft picks. And this is AP's guy that he went for. I don't see that happening, but I think we got to be a little bit weary. If he starts on the PUP list in training camp, I'm going to have a big problem with that.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the last game that he played was in January, and training camp is in July. And I know they have OTAs and all that other stuff in between. But if he can't get healthy from January to July, he's never getting healthy.
Right. Curtis Samuel when he was here for us.
Absolutely.
So,
but AP was very clear about it. He said that he's in their plans. So we should just kind of zip it then.
Yeah. Kill that noise.
Because he says so. And we listen to Adam Peters. Adam Peters basically has done no wrong since he's gotten here. So, all right. And the last thing about the Adam Peters press conference I'm going to bring up is that he said, look, we're going to be active in free agency. Now, I will temper that with saying he has to be active in free agency because they have so many free agents.
They have 28, he said.
That's 28 free agents that they have. So they obviously have to be active in free agency. I don't think it means what he said, or I don't think it means that what a lot of people think he means by it, saying they're going to make big moves in free agency. I don't see it, Trev. I still go by what happened last offseason, in that they had this plan put in place that they were going to build this team through the draft. And they weren't going to just go out and sign all of these big names, even though they have plenty of cap money. And I don't think that changes just because they had a good or a great season, I should say. I don't think that changes, Trev, because these guys, that's his plan. He's not going to deviate from his plan.
No.
So I don't see him. I'd love Myles Garrett. I don't see him trading for Myles Garrett. I don't see him going after T. Higgins and everything. But there are guys that I can see him going after, the Cooper Kupps of the world.
Deebo Samuels.
Maybe Deebo Samuel, but I think he might be a little too pricey, right? Because you gotta trade for him. The Cooper Kupp thing, I think you might be able to get for like a 6th rounder or wait until he's cut kind of deal. I think he's just going to do these same things. These 1-year deals for veterans who got to prove themselves or veterans who are towards the tail end of their career. And he's going to continue to build through the draft.
I can see that. And I think when he means aggressive is they're going to make a lot of moves. Maybe, like you said, not a lot of big power moves, but it's going to be a lot of moves. He's going to draft more than one guy that's at one position. I mean, not draft, but sign more than one guy at one position. Now, he might – I think the biggest names would be, like you said, veterans at the end of their prime, at the end of their career, who just like want to try and win or make it farther than they have in the NFL before they call it quits. The Khalil Macks, the Joey Bosa's, the Bobby Wagners, people like that until, like you said, he builds enough through the draft. And then maybe the Max Crosby's coming up and this and that are coming up. So he still has more opportunities to make this team even scarier than what it is. But like you said, I don't see him going after T. Higgins. He can command 30 plus a year, and he can't even play a full year healthy. I don't see AP doing that. As good as T. Higgins is, he's never healthy. And then, like you said, Myles Garrett, I mean, he could do that, but
he's not doing that.
I don't think he really wants to. He called and checked for sure. And Cleveland probably was like 3 first rounds and a player or 2.
Right.
And he was like, all right, appreciate it. Good luck next year. Click. So.
Yeah. And we'll get into this more, JG, later in the game when we talk about what to do at 29 and whether they should give up picks for Myles Garrett. here a little bit later. But so that was basically Adam Peters' press conference. Let's get to Dan Quinn's press conference today. And I love listening to Dan Quinn talk football because his answers are maybe it's just from the last 4 years before Dan Quinn, when the guy was just saying word salad and just saying some weird stuff. But he's so pointed in exactly what he's saying. He's just not spewing nonsense.
No, he literally believes what he's saying.
Yes, that's a great way of looking at it, is that he truly believes in himself and what he's saying and what their plan is for this team.
Yep.
And one of the things that he said when he was asked about what kind of guys that he's looking for in this team, and he says, look, he's looking for guys with competitive spirit, guys who love ball, basically culture guys, leadership guys. I mean, he's looking for dogs that just love to play football.
Yep.
And that's the kind of guys that he wants. And Dan Quinn is just so enjoyable to listen to when he talks football. It's amazing.
Go ahead.
I was just going to add to that he really loves interviewing guys at the combine.
Yeah.
Because he likes to hear their story. He likes to hear what drives them as football players. And so that's where he gets to understand, the guys that love ball. And I think that's something that really gravitated them towards Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels is that guy. He loves football. He loves the competition and the work that goes into being a good football player. And that was just a lot of fun watching him talk today at the press conference.
He got to have a little fun too. Somebody asked him about Bobby Wagner, and he said anything about Bobby Wagner, talk to his agent. Pause. He is his own agent. He said, I always wanted to say that. Bobby Wagner, real quick. I don't know. I legit don't know. Pete Carroll, brought him up out of nowhere in his presser.
Sure.
And said at the very end, he's a free agent this year. So I could see Bobby going there for a year to build that culture, but is he looking to just keep building cultures, or does he actually want to try and go win another one of them things that he's already won before or been to whatever? So I mean, Quinn doesn't mince words. He just makes you want to run through a brick wall and everything he says. So and people might think, of course you want guys who love football and have competitive spirit. No. You want the ones like, prime example, Jayden Daniels, who is probably working out every day rather than going out to the clubs, going out buying cars, on social media all the time, doing this, doing that. That man's probably on the field every day or in the virtual reality thing every day. And that's what he means by loving football. And competitive spirit is Jayden Daniels again. You heard Terry say he was still mad the next week after the loss of the Ravens.
Yeah.
He was still mad. You see him just cool, calm, collected after the Hail Mary or after the game-winning field goal. He's just – and then he's like, whatever. That's because he's just so competitive. Winning is just whatever to him, but losing means more than winning to him nowadays. So that's what the competitive spirit means. It's not just the cliche stuff.
Yeah, and piggybacking on the Bobby Wagner thing, and Dan Quinn, I think, said that I don't know where Bobby Wagner is right now, but I guarantee you he's working towards getting better for this upcoming season. Do you think you mentioned it, that Pete Carroll is out there and they have a great relationship. The Raiders are terrible. Or at least they were last year. You never know what happens. You never know if they end up with Matthew Stafford and make a big turnaround from last year. But what are your betting odds, would you say, in terms of Washington retaining Bobby Wagner for at least another year, maybe even two?
I'm not really good at the betting odds thing, so I'm still kind of confused, but I'll say the percentage chance of it happening.
All right, fair enough.
50. Literally 50.
Right at 50.
Yeah. Because because I think he's his own agent, so it really depends on what he wants to do. Honestly,
It's
like,
totally up to him.
does he really want to go build another culture in Vegas? I mean, it is Vegas, or does he want to stay in Washington and keep building what he already started? But then also, it's like, are there other linebackers out there that can replace Bobby Wagner? I
Right.
think there are, because I think Frankie Louvu, working with Bobby Wagner last season, can now make Frankie Louvu become the leadership that Bobby Wagner was. I mean, I'm not saying, like he's Bobby Wagner, but he can take over the leadership role for sure. I trust Frankie Louvu as my leader in the locker room. So 50-50. Who's out there that can replace him that's worth it? And then also, what does he want to do? Because he's his own agent. So 50-50.
Yeah. I would probably put it a little bit higher of him coming back. I have a good feeling that he did have a lot of fun here, and he does look at everything, the big picture of top to bottom of what this organization is doing. And he just looks on the other side of the ball and he sees a young Jaden Daniels who he gets along with very well. And he says, that's probably my best chance. My best chance to win a ring of all the places that I want to go to.
Yeah.
And if his choices are only, maybe Seattle's one of those choices, but if it's Seattle, the Raiders, and Washington, I mean, Washington's his best chance to win when you look at it on paper at this point.
Yeah, I think the two teams don't have a quarterback. And I think that's going to be a big deal for him too, because building a culture or building a locker room doesn't win you a ring. Quarterbacks do.
Absolutely. 100%. And we've got that here, believe it or not.
We got both of those here, culture and quarterback.
We do. Look, that's my number. I would probably put it, I think somebody, who was that, Mike had it at 75%.
Yeah,
that's probably where I would be, is about 75% if for him coming back. And if you want to place a bet on something like that, go to Bet Online, because Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting program and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC, Bet Online continues to be your number one sports betting source. Bet Online, the game starts here. Again, thanks for everybody who is in here. This is some fantastic conversation going on back and forth about everything that we've talked about so far. Make sure you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. Again, later on in the cool down, we're going to talk about, in Trev's news and notes, we're going to talk about that NFL Players Association report card and the drastic change from last year to this year. But right now, we got to move on to the game part, where we're going to talk all about, look, the combine's here. It's this week. It's already started. Guys are going to start being on the field for drills, and we've got to talk more about that. So we're going to do that right here in the game. All right, welcome back to episode number 214 here of Ref the District on the Believe Network. I am Trev. You know what? We don't even have our names up here. And we need to get our names. What did I do with the names? I got to find it. There we go. I don't know why it hasn't been up there the whole time. I'm Stoner. That's Trev over here. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button here on Ref the District, and share this video with all of your Commanders fans, friends, so that we can have more people talking all about this team that's going somewhere. But look, the combine's here. The draft is less than 2 months away, and we got to start looking at who Washington is going to take at number 29. Before we talk about that, though, Trev, there's a couple of things that we have to look at in terms of what Washington's plan is.
Yeah.
For the draft or for free agency. I don't like talking about the draft this early, personally.
Me either.
I don't like talking about it before free agency. Because we can sit here and we could say, well, they need an edge, they need a corner, they need a running back, they need a wide receiver too. They might take care of all of that in free agency. And then after free agency, we got to start all over again. We said, well, they don't need an edge anymore. Now they need a D tackle and
Right.
maybe a safety and maybe a tight end or whatever. So free agency dictates what they're going to do in the draft because free agency is first. But still, the combine's this week, and all these guys are getting measured and weighed and running all these drills and everything. And also, it's hard that, okay, let's look at the edges. All we got right now is college tape. We don't know what their times are. We don't know what their shuttle runs are, the short shuttle runs, or their leaping ability, or any of their athletic scores. We won't know that until sometime next week or even later. So it's kind of hard, but it's still fun. It's just still fun to talk about these guys and dream of what they could be here in Washington. There was some interesting nuggets to talk about before we get into the specifics of these players. And John Keim brought this up, and I don't know if you heard this, but John Keim brought up that every single draft pick and or undrafted free agent that they signed last year all interviewed in person at the combine with the Commanders, except for Dominique Hampton, and they interviewed him at the Senior Bowl. So every single guy, and you only get 40 private, and all 40 or all of the guys were in those 40.
Yeah.
That tells you something.
Interviews matter.
They matter to this regime. They matter to Adam Peters. And we talked about it with Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn says he likes to sit these guys down and talk to them and find out their story and what motivates them. And are they motivated by football? And so I think that's a big deal. Sam Hartman even, right? He's a guy, an undrafted free agent, right? They interviewed him at the combine, even though
they like Sam.
Yeah. So I think that's a big deal that we can kind of gauge what they're looking at doing by who they're talking to at the combine.
Okay.
So I thought that was a really interesting nugget that came from John Keim. Yeah. Everybody except for Dominique Hampton, which they interviewed him at the Senior Bowl. So that was interesting. The second little nugget that I want to throw at you, Trev, is that 4 of their draft picks from last year all finished in the top 22 for all players, not in their position category, but of all players, 4 finished in the top 22 of the short shuttle drill. Quick burst, change of speed.
Yeah.
Getting around corners.
Change of direction.
Mikey Sanistrill finished second in that drill out of every single human that ran that drill at the combine last year.
So combine matters. Those drills matter.
They matter. Luke McCaffrey finished third out of every single person in there. Quick feet, right? Again, burst, quick burst, all of that. Dominique Hampton finished 12th. And then Ben Sinnott finished 22nd. So think about that for a second. 4 guys finished in the top 22. 4 of their draft picks finished in the top 22 of just that one drill. That was pretty telling to me.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking for.
Now I'm gonna pay attention to who they talk to this year.
You want to pay attention to who they talk to and pay attention to that short shuttle drill.
Yep.
And those are probably guys that they're going to go after. And then also I think John Keim mentioned that they pay attention to little things. I think he heard this from a source. So he didn't get this directly from Adam Peters or Dan Quinn. They watch where guys line up in the drills.
To see like who wants to be first or who wants to be closer to the bag.
Yeah. Or if you were lined up third for the drill, and then the second time you go through the drill, maybe you're 10th Maybe you got gassed from the drill. Maybe your conditioning's not there. Maybe your preparation was not there for that particular drill.
That's crazy.
They are so detailed in everything that they do when they look at these draft picks, potential draft picks.
That's crazy.
And look, we have to bring it up. The previous regime. We always have to talk about the previous regime.
I mean, we do.
I swear, and I'm not even doing a bit here. I swear they just said, let's just take this guy.
Yep.
And I feel like, this is my own opinion, I didn't hear this from anybody. I feel like they wanted to pick guys that were not necessarily supposed to go there because they wanted to, it was an ego thing. They wanted
Ricky
to show
Stromberg.
Ricky Stromberg. What a terrible, that was a third rounder. And they picked him because they wanted to say, look, you didn't think he was going to be good. I did. And when he's good, then that's me. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to pick Jamin Davis instead of JOK or
Yes.
Darisaw.
Yes.
Everybody said that they should be picked ahead of Jamin Davis.
I'm going to pick Emmanuel Forbes.
Yeah. When the whole world knew that Christian Gonzalez was a better corner. Even us dummies here
we knew
that Christian Gonzalez was a better corner than Emmanuel Forbes.
Yep.
But he just wanted to say, look, I'm smarter than you.
Mm-hmm.
This regime doesn't do it. And by the way, Jahan Dotson is another one. Right? Everybody thought Chris Olave at 11. Chris Olave at 11. Let's trade back and get Jahan Dotson and get a reaction from Trev. Was like, who?
Yeah.
Right? And you were right, Trev, because he's basically a nobody at this point.
Yeah.
And he was a first-round draft pick. Or Fedarian Mathis, who was as surprised as we were that he was drafted in the second. Right? All of these guys.
He was.
But now the current regime is so detailed and so specific on everything that they do that if they pick a guy that surprises you, it's probably because they know so much more about these guys.
The average fan, for sure.
Because, look, I didn't like the Johnny Newton pick. I'm not going to lie to you.
I didn't know who that was.
Yeah. When they had 2 defensive tackles already, really 3 when you count Fedarian Mathis, they had 3 starting defensive tackles already, and you took a defensive tackle in the second round. I was unhappy with that.
But now you see why.
Now you see why. And you see also afterwards, you find out that he was a first-round grade.
Mm-hmm.
But he had this foot injury that really slowed his progress this year. Let's be honest. That really slowed him down. Or Luke McCaffrey taken in the third round.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was surprising a little bit, but now he didn't explode this year, but I think they've got some big plans.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, all right, Trev, everything being equal right now, we have no idea who they're taking in free agency, but let's just say this is the team that they have right now. What position group, and I'm asking everybody in here as well, what position group would you go after at number 29? Let's not go with best player available because we have no idea who that's going to be. But let's just say position group. What's your first priority in the draft?
Defensive end / edge.
All right. Do you have anybody in mind for that?
I have no idea.
Because really, you shouldn't be doing your research yet until you get all the information.
I'm ready for free agency, like you said. So, I don't know. But
free agency first, and then we need to get all of their information from the combine. We need to see who they're talking to. We need to see those short shuttle times. We need to see their verticals. We need to see all of that stuff.
Yeah, and we haven't yet. But position edge, we have to.
Yeah.
We can only keep doing these 1 year, 2 year deal guys who played with Dan Quinn before. You know what I mean? Like, we got to find somebody who is going to be with us for a long time, wreaking havoc. somebody that teams have to. He won't be a starter, Locked On Law. He might be. I mean, we took Jamin Davis second round, and he was a starter.
Well, I wonder if Locked On is saying that he won't be a starter because he's an edge, because they'll have
29
a free agent, or just because he's at 29, he's not expected to be a starter. We'll have to ask Locked On to clarify that.
Yeah, I don't like. I hear that it's running back heavy, defensive lineman heavy, and there's some quarterbacks that could happen. So maybe the best edge won't come until 29. Who knows? But I say an edge. We got to get it. We got to get another Chase Young, but actually better production, not just Chase Young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, I'm the same way. I think their biggest hole right now is at edge. So there are a couple of guys, and Roger points out Scorton. Is Scorton is he the A&M guy? I'm trying to.
Let me see.
I don't think he's. Yeah. I think Nick Scorton is the the kid from A&M.
Oh, okay.
But you've got the, I can't say his last name, the JT Trimolo, something from Ohio State.
Yeah.
Jalen Walker from Georgia. There's a lot of guys out there who are available. And you said it, Trev. This is a deep draft at running back. It's deep at wide receiver. It's deep at edge rusher. It's deep at defensive tackle. The edge itself is extremely deep, and the free agents available are not very deep, and which is not great for Washington because they've only got 3 in the top 80 because they got rid of that third and the fourth for Lattimore. They took away 2 top 100 picks when they got Lattimore. So now you've really only got 3 guys that are possibly going to be potential starters for this team. So it's a deep draft. You're going to be able to get some good players in that top 80, but you're not going to have the number. So I think I started this from way back at the beginning, and what Roger said here was, he says he doesn't think that we trade our first round pick. Would you rather trade back from 29 and get extra picks, or do you want them to go ahead and make that pick at 29?
Go ahead and make that pick at 29. The first round pick.
What if they can trade back to 36 and also get 41? So now they got like 36, 41, 58, and 80.
No.
Go
ahead and stay at 29.
Yeah.
Good. There's going to be a stud there.
There will definitely be a stud. I've read that there's going to be like 40 guys who are going to be difference makers in this draft, which is like double what they normally are. And it's weird that none of them are quarterbacks.
Right.
Because Cam Ward, if they said Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders came out last year, they would be like QB5 and QB6 in last year's draft. They're just not difference makers. They could be starters, but they don't think they're going to be like what we saw out of Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams and right. But also you've got there's a few guys who are possibly going to be there. Would you take a guard at 29, an offensive guard?
Okay, so that's what I was sitting here thinking as you were saying that. What if the player at 29 is like the best player available, but he's not an edge, but he's a guard?
Yeah.
Like he's the best player available, but he's in a position of need still, but not necessarily where we would take that position. In that case, a guard at 29? No.
No? You wouldn't do it?
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, actually I would. Because all we got last year was what? Brandon Coleman? Was that the only offensive lineman we drafted last year?
For the draft, yes.
Yeah, I would. If he's Brandon Scherf coming out of Iowa, good. If he's Eric Flowers, prime days, good.
Yeah.
Yes. But if he's someone who can develop really nicely, kind of surprised he's a day one pick. Not saying he doesn't have the talent, but still surprised. I'll be upset. I'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I think that's
I think
fair.
29 first round should be like stud.
Yeah.
You did their most homework on this guy out of the first round for the first round, like out of that group for first round. Stud. Definitely. He's going to contribute day one, if not day one, week 3, week 2, something like that. But if then I'll be cool with the guard.
Tyler Booker, I did some research on him, and he's a guard. He's from Alabama, 2-year starter, captain, 6'5", 352.
Oh my God!
He's not a great pass blocker. He's a great run blocker, which is why
that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
Bring him in for running plays and bring Cosmi in for passing plays.
Well, you're not going to have Cosmi this year anyway.
We'll get to that later. We might, but go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, sure, there's guards. Now, looking at receivers, right? So receiver obviously being a position of need for this team.
Yeah.
Again, it all depends on what happens in free agency.
Right. Yeah.
We're using the scenario that free agency hasn't happened yet, and all of a sudden the draft is here. So we got to figure out who they're drafting. There's a lot of guys. There's Matthew Golden from Texas, who's a fast dude. Now he's only 6 feet tall, but he's super fast. Or Luther Burden, or Egbuka from Ohio State. There's a lot of guys who are probably going to be available around 29. Can you make a case for a wide receiver at 29, Trev?
I guess this Luther Burden kid is a pretty hot commodity coming out from Arizona State. I think that's where he played, or Missouri.
Missouri, I think.
Yeah. Ibuka's nice, but we kind of already have that kind of position with Luke McCaffrey. Yeah, I think you draft a wide receiver. I just don't know if at 29 would be the move, honestly, because it depends on free agency. Now, what if we go out and get 2 free agent wide receivers? So now we have Terry. Let's just say we have Terry, Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin. I know it's not happening, and then Luke McCaffrey. That's already 4.
Yeah.
So then your guy you're going to draft is going to be probably wide receiver 5. And unless he's A.J. Brown coming out of college, or DK Metcalf, just a monster at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Take him. But if we already,
let me throw this at you though.
Grab him later.
Let me throw this at you, and I've been talking about this for a long time, for weeks and weeks now. That you had, let's just say, I mean, would you be mad if they brought back Noah Brown, De'Ami Brown, excuse me, and Zacchaeus?
Yes.
And that's it, along with, of course, Luke and Terry.
Oh, my gosh.
If your wide receiver room was basically the same, let's say minus Jamison Crowder and minus KJ Osborne, you're not okay with that?
No.
Okay. Let me refute that a little bit. They average 29 points a game. 3rd best in the league with that receiving core. So why are we so focused? Why are we so zeroed in that this team has to go get a top of the line at pick 29 or whatever for a wide receiver 2 when this offense has already proven they don't need that? I'm not saying that if you have a chance that you should pass up on it in terms of free agency, But I don't want to go into the draft knowing that they're going to go get a receiver. I don't like that. They've got 3 impactful picks. I want defense, defense, defense. They gave up 55 points in the NFC Championship game. Don't tell me they need wide receiver 2 as their biggest priority. I can't handle that.
I agree.
They need defense, defense, defense.
Yeah, we can draft a wide receiver later if we have to later in the draft, but I want veteran wide receivers to be paired with Terry McLaurin, because once you game plan for Terry, really the next target's Noah Brown. No offense. The next target's De'Ami Brown. No offense. Oz.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a good game against the Eagles and he was serviceable, but nobody game plan for Zacchaeus. Nobody game plan for anybody. Noah Brown, De'Ami Brown. I appreciate what they did, but they got time to go.
Well, again,
I know we made it to the NFC Championship. We scored a lot of points, but how many touchdowns did Terry McLaurin have?
In what?
This past season.
15-ish.
Right. How many did Jaden Daniels have total?
31, I believe.
And Zach Ertz have like what, 7?
7, I think.
And B-Rob maybe 4, Eckler maybe 2. We named 1 wide receiver.
Yeah.
So we can't just depend on Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin.
Yeah.
We can't.
No, I mean, look, I get it.
But just don't draft him at 29. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Don't.
And I understand that if you had a dynamic wide receiver 2, Jaden would be unstoppable. I would argue that Jaden Daniels is already unstoppable.
Right, but if
he had the greatest rookie season ever.
People are bad on Cooper Kupp. Bring Cooper to DC right now.
Yeah. Now, I think they need a wide receiver 2. I don't think they should come back with those guys I just mentioned. I'm not advocating for them to have the status quo at wide receiver, right? And come back with Noah and De'Ami and Oz. OZ, right? He doesn't like being called Oz, right? Yeah, sorry. But the point is, when you have to focus your resources somewhere, your biggest resources should be on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
because the offense doesn't need as much help.
Right.
And if you lose Jon Allen, you now got a hole that you got to fill.
Which is bigger than the ones that he was allowing to happen on the field with the run game.
That's right. Way to jump. Good zing to jump in there on that. Yeah, but I can't handle going into the draft knowing that they're going to have to take a wide receiver because they didn't address it.
Yeah,
in free agency.
I know, right? Yes, which I don't think it's going to happen this year, bro. I think they know Jaden wants another veteran over there on the other side.
Yeah, but they're not going to, and I don't believe they're going to give anybody, $30 million to bring somebody in as a wide receiver. I don't think that they're going to go after Higgins or Godwin, those guys who are going to demand the bigger contracts.
It's crazy because the ones that demand bigger contracts never finish the season. They're always finishing unhealthy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep. I'm just not that guy.
No.
And we'll see what they do. It's going to, again, don't forget that free agency, the tampering period is not next week, but it's a week after.
Oh.
It's a week from this upcoming Monday. March 10th is legal tampering, and then March 12th you start signing guys. 2 weeks from today, Trev.
Yeah.
Free agency starts. And that's going to be wild, and it's going to be fun.
Real quick, you said defense,
mm-hmm.
and it's about the draft. Are you going to draft more than one of a certain position out of those defense? Like, would you take 3 defensive linemen, similar kind of how the Eagles have done it? Drafting linemen and linebackers over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, it probably depends on
Jon Allen's not here. Okay.
Yeah.
We cut him. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's gone. Now, and we didn't get somebody. We didn't address it due to free agency. We did, but it's not like somebody who's going to be game plan for. Now, do you go and get how many defensive linemen in the draft?
Yeah. I probably would not the exact same position, but if they came out of that draft with their first 3 rounders being edge, defensive tackle, corner, I'd be ecstatic.
Right.
They're not sexy picks.
No.
But they're extremely important picks. I think their number one priority this offseason, whether it's in free agency or draft, is they've got to get a game-changing edge.
You have to.
That's their biggest hole at this point. They have to address that position. And I think Lockdown mentioned earlier, why are we not screaming for Myles Garrett? Believe me, I'm screaming for Myles Garrett. I think we said it a few weeks ago. You can line up every single player on the Commanders not named Jaden Daniels, and Cleveland can have them all. Not 1 or 2 of any of them. You can have the entire team. That includes Mikey Sanistrill and Frankie Louvu and Deron Payne. You can have every single one of them. I'll go into an offseason with Jaden Daniels and Myles Garrett and Terry McLaurin, and then I'll figure out the rest. That's how much I love Myles Garrett.
True.
Because he's in his prime. He's a difference maker on every play.
And he wants to win.
He's done his time. He's done his jail time over there in Cleveland, and he's done it with a great attitude.
Yes.
On a organization that's a ridiculously bad.
Yes.
And he did it to a Hall of Fame level. And now he's ready to just go somewhere and win. And that's right here in Washington.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance Adam Peters can make this happen.
I'd put it at less than 10%. I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, so I guess my question is, yeah, it's deep position-wise for the draft, but is it a good deep or is it just deep because it's just a bunch of guys entering the draft? Like last year, I felt like we knew Ben Sinnott, we knew who Mikey Sanister was, we knew who Luke McCaffrey was, we knew who Dominic Hampton was if you really watched college football, you knew who Johnny Newton was if you really watched. This year, outside of like Jack Sawyer, Will Campbell, Shador, Cam, Jackson Dart, Ashton Genty, a couple other guys. It's like, who is it? So are they willing to give up some more draft capital to go get a game changer like Myles Garrett because they know the draft class is not as appealing as last year's? Or are they just like, yo, he wants a quarterback to play with.
Yeah.
We need an edge. All our guys that we wanted have been picked already. Or I'm not picked, but like, I don't know. He can make it happen.
I don't see it happening. I don't see him throwing away his 5-year plan that he started with just for an opportunity at a guy. And his plan is to build through the draft.
But this can jumpstart that plan by like 2 years.
Yeah, right. And I don't think he wants to do that. And I'll give you 2 words why. 2 words why he's not going to do it. And it's Marshon Lattimore. I think he got a little bit burned. He got a little hyped up by what was happening in Washington. And he thought, we need one piece. We need one piece. And that's a shutdown corner. And then he went and he gave up 2 top 100 picks.
Okay.
And got Marshon Lattimore.
Okay.
Marshon Lattimore was not what he wanted, what he hoped he would be. He was not the shutdown corner that he had hoped he would be. And I think that gave him pause, Trev. I think he was like, look, I got over my skis a little bit here.
No.
I got so excited. I was willing to abandon my entire plan to go for it this year, and it bit him in the butt.
But okay, you're right. But this is Myles Garrett.
I hear you.
If he if there's any way he could get what he wanted for this Myles Garrett, bro. I'm telling you, don't
I just don't
sleep.
think he's going to do it. I mean, you're stymieing your future for your present. If you give up the 29th pick this year, the 32nd pick next year, because they're going to win the Super Bowl, right? So if you give up the 29th, and let's be honest, you give up the 25th next year and a third this year, so which is the 80th pick this year for Myles Garrett.
I'm doing it.
All you've got is your second round pick until you get to the 5th and 7th.
I'm doing it.
He's not. That's what I'm saying. I'm doing it, Trev. You're doing it. Everybody here's doing it. Adam Peters is not doing it.
Bro,
he's not. He's not doing it. He's a true believer in building a team for a long-term success through the draft. And all you have to do is look over in San Francisco. And you look at that drafts that he put together.
Bro.
Those are all long-term solutions that he put together over there.
Didn't he help bring CMC there?
He did, but look what he gave up.
Exactly.
Not a whole lot, like a third rounder.
And look where they've been. NFC Championship, NFC
right.
Championship.
He's not giving up multiple first-round picks for Myles Garrett. Multiple first and a third, which is probably what it's going to take.
What if it's multiple first and a player?
I mean, look, I'd do it. I would do it. I just don't think Adam Peters is going to do it. He's too analytical, and he's just too focused on a long-term plan for Washington. And Myles Garrett's not a long-term plan.
Well, yeah.
Not for those guys. I would do it, Trev. I would do it in a heartbeat. I would give up anything for him. But I just don't think he's going to do it.
I mean, we don't know. We've never been presented this opportunity with Adam Peters before.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
He built the NFC Championship team with Frankie Louvouz and
right. That's what he's going to do. He's going to sign Frankie Louvouz and Tyler Biadasz and Nick Allegretti and Jeremy Chin and Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner and Austin Eckler. He's not going out and sacrificing 2 years worth of drafts for one guy. He's not doing it.
If he was smart, he would.
And that's why I also think that he's going to trade down from 29 because he needs more picks. He lost the 3rd and a 4th round pick in this draft, and I think he regrets it.
Nah.
What if he got here's your, well, he's a running back. I don't want to say that guy from North Carolina. But what if he got
Marion Hampton?
Yeah. I don't want to say him because I'm focused on defense. But what if he went out and got this corner from Texas, this Jahdae Barron? Okay, he's a corner.
Okay.
What if he got that guy in the 3rd round using the pick that he gave up for Marshon Lattimore? Meaning, what if Benjamin St. Juste played against Tampa and Mike Evans, and St. Juste played against A.J. Brown in the NFC Championship game, right? And everything played out the same, but he goes in to this year, and he's got multiple 3rds and a 4th round draft pick, and he goes out and gets a corner in the 3rd round in what's considered a deep corner class in day 2. That's what I'm saying. And I think he regrets that a little bit, that move that he made for Lattimore and sacrificed a couple of future guys for Marshon Lattimore. That's just me.
It's Myles Garrett, bro.
I know, man. This is why we love the offseason. We love playing armchair GMs and armchair coaches, and it's what makes it so fun to talk about all these.
He's coming to Washington. Bro.
Really? And what did you say your percentage on that was? You said Bobby Wagner was 50-50 of coming back. What's your percentage of them trading for Myles Garrett?
70.
Mine is 7. That's
Just
it.
7.
7. There's no 0 behind mine.
He's coming to Washington.
No. Okay. Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
All right. So look, there's a lot of guys out here, wide receivers, edge rushers. I mean, running backs. We talked about your guy from North Carolina, Hampton. Trevyon Henderson, I think, would be a difference maker in this team. I don't want Trevyon Henderson.
You think he's like an Eckler type, or you think he can be the
Oh, I think he can be an every down back.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah. I think he's a stud. And I think Hampton's a stud, too. I think either one of those guys would be great for this team. I don't want them to draft him. I don't. I just want them to draft defense. And I'll be honest, they could go through the entire free agency period and not sign a single offensive player, and I'd still go into the draft and say draft defense.
Yeah.
I would.
I know.
And just go get some cap casualty receivers or something. Noah Brown. That's exactly what Noah Brown was. No. He was a cap casualty, right?
No.
In Houston, right?
Yeah, no.
I'd be okay with that.
No.
And then if you've got that defense figured out a little bit, then you can start working on the offense a little bit.
I'm with you, but we gotta get the Noah Browns out of here, dog. Come on.
3%. I like that. It's about the same chance as an asteroid.
Okay.
Asteroid hitting here. But all right, so good talk about the draft. We're gonna move on into the cool down here, and we're gonna talk all Trev's news and notes a little bit, and we're gonna talk about that report card here. So that's coming up here in the cool down. All right, welcome back to episode number 214 of Ref the District. I'm the Stoner. That's Trev.
What up?
We've had some good discussions here. We talked, if you missed it at the beginning, we were talking Lakers and Mavericks and Luka Doncic,
yes, sir.
LeBron, and chances that the Lakers are going to be able to go. I mean, they're up to what? Are they up to 5th in the West?
4th.
4th in the West now?
They're a few games behind. They could be number 2 seed by like next week or something.
Wow, really?
If they
now remind me. I know you like the Bulls.
Yeah.
You're a Lakers guy, right?
Yeah, because I'm now a LeBron fan. So
yeah.
And he's been there for a while. I actually pay attention to Lakers now a lot more. So
I was never a big LeBron guy, but I've become a LeBron guy.
Yes.
In the last few years, probably.
When he went back to Cleveland's when I started liking LeBron.
Yeah.
I didn't like him the first time in Cleveland, and I didn't like him how he went to Miami and not 5, not 6, not 7.
Right.
But when he came back and won it for Cleveland, I was like, yo,
yeah,
I can get down. And then what he does off the court too with this I Promise school and
absolutely,
his movie production studio stuff too. So it's like, all right, I can become a fan.
Yeah, and I appreciate that what he's doing at 40 years old.
Bro, 40 years
is insane.
It really is. He's not human.
He's not.
Can you imagine if that dude went to college to play ball too?
Yeah.
Just right. Whatever. But hey.
It's impressive what he does on the basketball court and how much effort he puts into it. Yeah. But I will tell you that the All-Star game ticked me off a little bit. I didn't like how he just decided he wasn't going to play 2 hours before the game. I mean, I can't stand. There's the biggest thing I can't stand about the NBA, and there's a lot of issues with the NBA right now. The biggest thing that I don't like is load management.
Oh,
I can't stand it.
Gotta go.
These guys, the fans that pay their salaries, they pay a lot of money to go see LeBron James play.
Yeah.
And if he just decides a couple hours before, and not just the All-Star game, but I'm talking about the load
Mhm.
management stuff, that he's
Mhm.
going to take a rest day. That bothers me.
It does.
That
Bro, you're
bothers me
taking your
because
child to a game for their birthday.
yeah,
It's Lakers Celtics. And I'm saying these players do it, but not only does LeBron and Luka sit out, but Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are sitting out too. So it's
yeah,
like, what?
yeah, that bothers me. And
What?
maybe it's old school, maybe we grew up with Michael Jordan playing with the flu and puking everywhere and barely being able to stand,
Right. And
never missing games.
the fight
Playing,
breaking out in the Pistons and Pacers and
yeah,
the
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that one?
yeah,
Patton
absolutely.
brawled the
Malice at the
Palace,
Palace, yeah,
and they had a game the next day or something like that. So it's like,
yeah.
yeah, I
So
agree.
anyway, we got a little
Imagine if that
sidetracked.
was in the NFL, bro.
Yeah,
Can you imagine that?
right.
Mahomes
Guys,
week
just
6. You know what? Nah.
yeah. I have a brand I'm protecting here.
Yeah.
I can't be going and doing anything that will affect negatively my brand. All right, Trev, let's get to some updates here and what's going on. Just a couple of odds and ends here. So we'll do that here with Trev's news and notes. For all your Commanders news and notes, it's the TNN. Here's Trev.
What up? Kind of quiet in Commanders land lately. Not a lot happening. Combines here. Some cleanup. People probably losing their jobs, getting jobs, but not enough to make the news wave for the Commanders organization. But speaking of jobs, Marty Mayhew has retired.
Yeah.
He was part of the previous regime with us. Did some good things, but probably overlooked because of who was in charge at the time, Riverboat, and the one they call,
We're not saying. Yeah.
So he retired. Thanks for everything you've done, Marty Mayhew. Congratulations on that. Enjoy retirement.
And I think it was surprising. I mean, I was a little bit surprised, not in that he's retiring, but the things that Quinn and Peter said about him and how important he was
Right.
for the transition from the old regime to the new regime. And we all thought Hurney, Mayhew, they're gone.
Yeah.
They were the kind of the triumvirate, or whatever the word is, with Rivera. It was Rivera, Marty, and Marty were the three guys making the decisions. And so we were like, well, if you're bringing in a whole new regime, those guys are gone. And yet both Martys stuck around for a year, and the new regime talked about how important those guys were to the transition. And I don't think any of us saw that coming.
I didn't even know they were still here, to be quite honest. I just they were gone.
And Mayhew played here, right? He's a guy that really you have to be appreciative of what he's done just for the entire organization for a long time.
Exactly. And he's worked with Adam Peters, I think, in San Francisco too. So
yeah,
he's known the way before all this stuff happened in Washington. So that's cool. And then I think the next biggest thing we can kind of segue into it, is the NFLPA. I think it was.
What about Cosmi first?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
During Adam Peters' presser yesterday at the Combine, he let everybody know that Sam Cosmi has already been back at the facility rehabbing.
Yeah.
And it's February. And he tore it, January?
When was that?
Playoff game? Was
it a playoff game?
Yeah, I think so. Because I don't think he didn't play in the Eagles game. Or did he?
I think it was Tampa. No, I think it was Tampa. I can kind of remember no, it was Detroit. I remember the defensive lineman who kind of dove at B-Rob or whatever and ended up diving into.
So that was January for sure. So, and he's already rehabbing. Off-season programs start what? May?
Yeah, April, May, yeah.
OTA, yeah. So there's a possibility we could see Sam this year. Not saying it that we will, but
I doubt it. But
he didn't tell us that for no reason. You know what I mean?
True.
So there's that, and then the NFLPA, right? They released all 32 report cards for teams this year for the past 2024 season. And I'm going to quote a song title by a rapper who is currently in a rap beef with Kendrick Lamar. He goes by the name of Drake. And we have started from the bottom, and now we are here on these report cards, man. We had all Fs, all F pluses. We had G's, H's. We had DFLs.
Yeah.
In these grades, but not now. We've got up to 11th, I think, in total ranking out of 32 teams or something like that. Also, Hunter's got more of the grades coming up here in a second, but yeah, that's in one football season.
Yeah,
with new everything. That's crazy. So,
and there was a quote, and I should have gotten it that Dan Quinn said. I'm not sure that I saved it. But there was a really cool quote that Dan Quinn said about Josh Harris, basically saying that what Josh Harris is doing, all of this is because of Josh Harris.
Yeah.
Everything should go to show what Josh Harris is doing. But let me share this.
I saw that.
Yeah, see if you can find that. It was a really good quote. I don't want to look on too deep into Twitter because I'm recording a basketball game that I'm going to watch afterwards, and I don't want to accidentally run across a score. Let me see if I can share this real quick. This is the report card comparing 2024 to 2025. And maybe if I go over here and I can make it bigger. Does that help at all? There we go. I think that works. Can you see that? Does that look presentable?
Yeah.
That it's from Mitch Tischler.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, and I'll go over it as you continue looking for that quote. But basically, some of these are an amazing turnaround. And just the treatment of families, and we talked about this last year. The treatment of families in 2024 got an F-. And like you were saying, like G and stuff, that's hard to do. Usually you just get an F, and that's a fail.
Yeah, I wasn't lying.
F-. And this year's a B+. That's a huge, massive difference.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And the food in the dining room went from a D+ to a B+.
Wonder what they were eating in there.
I mean, nutrition and diet went from a B- to a C+. So essentially basically the same, maybe dropped a little bit. But the locker room is probably maybe the biggest concern. It went from an F- to an F. So basically it's the same. It's bad. It's small.
Hey, that's an improvement. But yeah, it's super tiny, because when you see interviews, you can see like 3 or 4 or 5 more lockers in the same shot because it's so close.
Yep. And his lockdown is pointing out, when they get the new stadium, they're going to have, when that stadium gets done, they're going to have the best locker rooms in the entire NFL. I promise you that.
Probably, yeah.
But there's nothing they can do about that right now.
And that's not happening until what, 2020, 2030, something like
2030, that? 2031. Yeah, it's going to be a while. So, as JG says, the nutritionist should be watching over their shoulder. Maybe Elon's going to be coming around looking to take some jobs away if it's not as good as it should be. It dropped a little bit. Training room, though, went from an F- to a C+. That's a huge jump.
Yeah.
Or the training staff.
Right.
Went from an F to a B+.
Yeah. For the most part, we were a healthy team this year. For the most part.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that was part of their success, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Is being pretty healthy. Mm-hmm. And you guys got on my case because I think I mentioned that in the middle of the year, and you were like, thought I was jinxing it. I said like 3 years ago, I said Terry McLaurin is not going to get hurt, and you guys got mad. That was 3 years ago. He still hasn't gotten hurt. So I'm not jinxing it. Let's see. I think the weight room still pretty much went the same. Everybody seems to love the strength coaches from last year to this year, but look at the team travel.
Yeah, bro.
F to an A.
Right.
F to an A, the team travel.
What were they
And
traveling in last year? Spirit Airlines?
yeah, I don't know. But I think one thing, and we pointed this out way back when this happened, but if you remember, game 3 was Monday night in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they went from Cincinnati straight to Arizona.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because they had a road game in Arizona in week 4 on Sunday. So they had a short week. Instead of coming home, right, and doing all that and then turning around like 3 days later and going back out on the road again, they put the effort into saying this is going to cost Josh Harris, it's going to cost him more money to do it this way because you got everybody out on the road for that amount of time and staying out there and the hotels and the per diem and all that other stuff. But they said this is better for the football team. And then they went into Arizona and just,
dogged
them. Great call. Great word. Just dogged them. So huge upgrade in team travel. And then I think a big one there is the head coach went from a C to an A plus.
Yeah.
Not an A, an A plus, which I believe that means that every single person surveyed on the Commanders put Dan Quinn a 10 out of 10.
Had to.
Every single player. Not
rightfully so.
9, not most of them. Every player put him up as a 10 out of 10.
Rightfully so.
That says a lot. And then, of course, ownership went from a B to an A. This is the same ownership last year. Let's not forget, Josh Harris was around for last year as well. So just a massive upgrade. Did you ever find that quote at all?
No, but I know I saw it.
I might be able to find it. Let me stop sharing here real quick. But I'm just going to search for one person because otherwise I'm going to Otherwise, I'm going to come across a score, and I don't want to come across a score. So real quick here. What was I going to ask about in terms of, what about the decision? Now, this is not a specifically related to the Commanders, but what about the idea that says that they're going to use electronic first down markers next year rather than the chain gang, the old man chain gang holding the chains?
So no more replays to see if they got it or not, or what?
No, I don't know how all that's going to work, but I mean in terms of
no more chain gang.
Yeah, they're going to have the guys there as backup plan, but they're going to use an electronic system.
I mean, what?
Yeah, that's what we've been complaining about. Right? Isn't that what we've been complaining about all these years, is that these old officials are going out there and marking things crazy, and I don't know.
To piggyback off of the report card,
yeah,
the head coach information, 100% of Commanders players feel their head coach, Dan Quinn, is efficient with their time. He is one of 6 coaches across the league that got a perfect score.
Yeah, that's big time, man.
That is big time.
We've said it a lot this year.
Yep.
And because it bears worth repeating, that we are incredibly lucky now that everything that's taken place in the last 2 years. We're incredibly lucky that we've got an ownership group that cares, that an ownership group who worked hard to find the right general manager, and then a general manager who worked hard to find the right head coach. Yep. And then the two of them worked together to find the right quarterback and then the right players. And now everything is all coming together, and we feel like we're at the top of the heap in the NFL now.
Bro, we went to the NFC Championship last year.
Went to the NFC Championship. And we are now the organization that other teams look at to say, that's how you're supposed to do it.
Sorry, Houston. You had it for like half a year. I never thought they were a team that we were modeling after. Never ever thought that.
Yeah.
I never was on that bandwagon. But now we are definitely the team that we'll say we're the team. It's like the rich are like the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. We're representing the poor, like the Lions and the Browns and the Raiders, all those bad the teams have been bad for years.
Yeah.
We're now giving those teams a model of how to be successful in a year.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
I totally agree with it.
NFC Championship game.
Really, in year one of this whole rebuild, just it's crazy. And one other thing about that report card is, I think maybe the NFLPA put this out there following their release of this report, is that there's really no correlation between the top grades being the highest winning teams, and the lower grades being the worst. There's no correlation, because you'll look on that report card and you're going to see the Chiefs almost at the bottom. Now you're also going to see the Jets, and you're going to see some other organizations that, oh yeah, that makes sense. They're a terrible organization, but the Chiefs are down there, right? They don't get good grades, but if you got Patrick Mahomes, you're going to be a winning football team no matter what.
Man, bump them grades. We're trying to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to say how bad this is and bad that is, but as long as we got 15 back there, then it doesn't matter. I'm going to go play there because I got a chance to win. So there's no correlation of, if you have high grades, that doesn't mean you're going to be a winning football team.
No.
Or if you have low grades, that you're going to be a bad football. Yeah, last year is a perfect example. Commanders were one of the worst. They were, what were they? Were they 32nd out of 32 or something like that last year?
Yeah.
And look what they did. They had the 6th best record in the league, and they went to the NFC Championship. Now they improved it as the year went on, but still, the point being that stuff's great, and you need that, because you and I and everybody here wants to be a fan or wants to be proud of what your organization is doing. There's nothing worse than being embarrassed by being a fan of a team because of what the owner's doing, or the GM is a drunk, or or we don't have to worry about, we no longer have to worry about congressional inquiries, and we don't have to worry about the name for now anyway. We don't have to worry about all that. Who's going to be the quarterback? I think you mentioned this before we even started, that there's all this news about Matthew Stafford and Daniel Jones and the draft guys, the Shedeur Sanders,
Sam Darnold. Yeah.
And we don't care.
No, we do not care.
We have no opinion on where Daniel Jones is going to end up. I don't care. In fact, I hope he comes back to New York, because that would be better for us, because he's terrible. I don't want to see Matthew Stafford in a Giants uniform, because he can still play.
That'd be weird.
But you know what I mean? Like, we don't care what happens with all these guys. We don't care where Cam Ward's going to get drafted.
No, I don't care.
I don't care. We don't have to worry about that no more.
It's crazy.
We're set. We're set at that position. We're set in a lot of positions. So anyway, that was the report card. Makes you feel proud of the organization and what they're doing, all the improvements that are going on. Then you're going to have a new stadium within the next 5 years. By then, we probably got two new Lombardis in the case, giving us a total of 5 of those. So that'll be pretty exciting. But it's fun to look at the draft like we did earlier, and who Washington might take. Free agency we'll get more into next week, because by the time we are live next week, free agency will be the following week. So we've got to talk about who we think Washington should be going after in free agency.
Maybe some more names will start floating around next week.
Yeah. I mean, already you're seeing a lot of guys who are seeking trades or getting released, defensive tackles. Do you want to go after a Josh Sweat from the Eagles? Do you want to go after Milton Williams, their young defensive tackle who's a free agent on the Eagles? Zach Bond, you mentioned earlier. Do you want to go after guys like this?
Khalil Mack,
all these guys.
Joey Bosa.
Yeah, Joey Bosa may be available. So it's going to be a lot of fun talking about all these things. But we talked about draft earlier, and then we talked, of course, in the warm up about the press conferences from Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. And we talked about Marshon Lattimore, Jon Allen. We talked about Myles Garrett, all that good stuff. It's been a lot of fun in episode number 214 here on Ref the District. We appreciate everybody who has joined us. So many of y'all, some great takes. We didn't get to all of them, but we are definitely checking them out and seeing them. And everybody is seeing them as well that you guys are putting out there. Like a great take here. Having Mahomes ain't what it used to be. Sorry, still is. I have to disagree with you on that, Lockdown Law. He's still at the top of his game. Now he didn't have the greatest season, but last time I checked, he was in the Super Bowl and nobody else was other than the Eagles. So he's still what he always has been. But appreciate everybody. Again, make sure you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button, hit that share, and share this with your fellow Commanders friends so that they know all the good times that we have here on Ref the Disc. We are a proud member of the Believe Network, and we are brought to you by Bet Online. So, Trev, until next time,
go get Myles Garrett.
I'm not sure about that yet. I'm stalling here because I forgot to set up the ending here. So, but anyway, it won't even let me do that. So I'm just gonna say, go get Myles Garrett. I agree with you, but of course they're not going to. But always be a fan.